by PKD Nambiar, who's a political analyst who supports the BJP, and also joined by Gurdeep Singh Sappal, national spokesperson of the Congress and former CEO Rajya Sabha TV. Also joined by Nalini Singh Association. Let me just start with PKD Nambiar. Mr. Nambiar, it's surprising because the BJP is normally very, very sensitive about media optics. And at a time of a public pandemic, when there's such a growing chorus of protests against this particular project, why do you think the government is going ahead? And surely as a supporter of the BJP, do you acknowledge that this is something which is actually damaging you, damaging the image of the government?
Srinivasan, over the last 1 year, I may have participated at least more than 22 plus debates on various channels on the Central Vista project. Nobody, including the topmost architects in these, many of those panels, were never been able to tell me once why Central Vista project should not be there and why the timing is wrong. Is it an economic reason? Explain why this project
in the past year.
Reason. No, one second, Srinivasan. I'll just explain you because I have studied it very well. One, is it an economic reason, or is it an infra reason, or is it the current or the earlier wave of COVID time? That was the time when there was a huge hue and cry that why there is a COVID is happening and why this project should be happening.
Because right now we're in the middle of a terrible second wave. There is a lockdown in the city, understandably so. All activity has come to a halt under the disaster management rules that also includes construction activity. Why is this one project so important that it has actually been granted some kind of special status that it's an essential service, that it needs to go ahead? What is so essential about it?
2 minutes.
That it can't be put off for a few months?
I'll explain you in 2 seconds. I don't even require a minute. 40 plus kilometers per day construction of road construction is happening in this country. There are more than 3,000 major infrastructure projects are happening in this country at this time when you and me are talking. Do you think that we all stopped eating? Do you think that we all stopped living? No. A Central Vista project is a project which was planned not from today. It is 20-year-old concept. The only thing is
I'm citing your own government's rules, which says that construction activity is not allowed.
To hear actually the truth.
This is not a rule I've made up.
If you wanted to know the Central Vista project, the truth, the so many white lies. People have been telling that it is 20,000 crore rupees is being spent. 1,300 crore rupees will be spent over the next 2 years. This project is not going to happen in 1 day or 2 days or in 6 days.
Okay, I wasn't actually on the money yet. I wasn't on the money yet, but I will come to the money. Let me just bring in Gurdeep Singh Sappal. Okay, I'll come back to the wider question of whether this was necessary at all little later, but at the moment we're just on the need to go ahead with this now. And as you somewhat strikingly described it, you said this is almost like a picnic at a public hanging. But Mr. Nambiar, coming back to the arguments you advanced at the beginning, and you heard some of the counters to that. One being that when you say that, oh, this is like any other infrastructure project, this is not like any other infrastructure project because there is no other construction work going on in Delhi. Everything has come to a standstill, as is understandable when you have a public health emergency, except this project. Number two, when you spoke of the fact that the costs are being staggered, as some of the other panelists have pointed out, the fact is that the government is not picking up a check for a bulk of India's vaccination program, which clearly indicates that it doesn't have money to spend or it doesn't want to spend it. Then why divert thousands of crores of cash into building government offices and a new, fancy home for the Prime Minister?
If you allow me 1 minute without interruption, I will explain the learned all the three panelists because I could feel that none of them know anything about this particular project. Clearly, why this project in first place? Why, when this project has been conceptualized in the first place?
Not
Second,
why. We're talking of now. Why now?
I will tell you.
Why now? No. I'm sorry. Why now? Why now? And why when there's no other construction happening in the city under the pandemic rules? Why is only this project going on? What is the tearing hurry to build a new home for the Prime Minister or to build new office complexes now?
Now, if you really want
No,
to
I will certainly allow you to speak, but you must answer the question.
put me down
There can't be deflection.
if you want to put me down and say that all the three other panelists are right and don't want to know the truth, then I leave it to your wisdom. But the truth remains one thing very simple.
No, I am not saying the other panelists are right. I am asking for an answer to my question. Why now? And why single out this project?
I started my career as in Delhi as a construction with one of the multinational construction company. I don't know how many of the other panelists have worked and how a professional construction company works. May I explain you that? If it is a Tata, now you have interviewed two.
Sir, how is that?
I will explain you, my dear friend.
How is that germane to my question?
Just explaining you how the things work. No, one is that one is an economic reason why this project. Secondly, there is a social reason. There is a technical reason, ecological reason why this project is supposed to be done and why now. This is the question, right? I will tell you one by one. Today, the government of India spends more than 1,000 crore as a rental every year on various ministries. That will be simply go off. Today, the amount of land which is being used for the government ministries, various buildings in area will be reduced by 1/10 of it. You don't want it to live into the 2000, or you wanted to go back to the 1927 when the parliament.
I'm still not getting an answer from you as to why this had to happen right now.
Have a secondary.
I mean, all of these arguments you're making is for this project as a whole, and I'm not on that argument at the moment about why we need to even remake the Central Vista at all. I'm only talking about the urgency to execute it in the middle of a pandemic. And if you're arguing that this is to create jobs, if your argument is that this is to create jobs, then it's